Hello, greetings from Team PMG. I'm Angshuman Thakuria, and today I shall be discussing about confined space entry. The agenda for today's discussion will only be limited to the definition of some commonly used terms and introduction to hazardous atmosphere. Many workplaces contain areas that are considered confined spaces because while they are not necessarily designed for people, they are large enough for workers to enter and perform certain jobs. A confined space also has limited or restricted means of entry or exit and is not designed for continuous occupancy. Continuous space can be found in many industrial settings, from dairy plants to steel mills, from shipyards to farms. The safety hazards associated with any confined spaces can cause serious injury if they are not dealt with properly. The hazards found in any confined space are generally determined by what is stored inside that space, by what process is taking place inside the space, and the items surrounding that space. Some of the examples of confined spaces are silos, ducts, hoppers, bins, manholes, tanks, etc. Now let us discuss the personnel involved in confined space entry. The first is entrant. So an entrant is an employee who will physically enter the confined space to perform the required work. So he must know the hazards associated with the confined space entry, and he should know how to use all the equipments. He should know the procedure for communication with the attendant, who will be positioned outside the pit, and he knows how to alert the attendant of hazardous or prohibited conditions, and he knows how to exit the space by himself if required. An attendant is an employee who remains outside the confined space and whose primary responsibility is to monitor and assist the workers in the confined space. Assistance includes maintaining communication with the workers via an adequate communication system, calling for emergency rescue, providing confined space workers with fresh air packs, and other personal protective equipment. Entry supervisors are employees that are responsible for coordinating the entry into the confined space. His duties are to verify if the permit is complete, to oversee entry operations, to ensure rescue services are available, and to terminate permit and also recommend procedure change. The supervisor does not necessarily mean management. The supervisor can refer to anyone acting as the supervisor of the entry, whether hourly or management, depending on company specific terminology. Let's look at some of the types of safety hazards one may encounter when entering a confined space. These hazards can generally be categorized as either atmospheric hazards or physical hazards. Atmospheric hazards include things such as O2 deficiency, dust, chemical vapors, welding fumes, fogs and mist, and toxic gases. So that can interfere with the body's ability to transport and utilize oxygen, or that have negative toxicological effects on the human body. Before entering into the most confined spaces, a multi-gas meter is commonly used to determine levels of oxygen, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, and the concentration of combustible gases. Other types of meters and sensors are available to detect concentration of specific gases like chlorine and sulfur dioxide, if required. The most common atmospheric hazard associated with confined spaces are O2 deficiency and O2 displacement, flammable atmosphere, and toxic gases. Physical hazards can be considered as hazards that can cause the body to become physically stressed. So, unlike atmospheric hazards, physical hazards can be detected through our senses. The most common physical hazard is engulfment. Now, moving on to the last slide, that is types of confined spaces. Like, confined spaces are usually broken down into two groups: non-permit and permit. In non-permit, the space does not contain any hazard, and it cannot cause any harm. Like some of the examples are equipment closets, crawl spaces under houses like basement area, and machinery cabinets. Like those spaces are very well defined. But in permits confined spaces, a permit is required. A permit is nothing but a written safety checklist that is completed before one can enter into the confined space. And the permit ensures that all the hazards are removed from the confined space before one enters. Some examples are sewer manhole, grain silo, and a hopper. So that's all for today. Thank you for your attention.